if you remember that experiment with the pinhole camera, we saw this effect that when we close the pinhole, the image got sharper and sharper. But I already told you that this will not remain like this. If we had closed the pinhole further, which unfortunately we were not able to do, then you would have seen that the image becomes more blurry. And this effect is called diffraction. We're going to see this in this experiment here, which is simply a laser. That laser illuminates a slit that we can close with this screw here. And while we are closing the slit, we are observing the diffraction pattern, which is shown here on the screen and filmed by a camera. So we can now zoom in here, and you see on the top left, you see me closing the slit, and there you see the spot. So as I close the slit, you see first a little line appearing that then starts to get subdivided into fringes. And as I close the slit further and further, the fringes go outside. So this is an interesting reciprocal behavior. Smaller here, in the far field, you get larger structures in the diffraction pattern. So as I close it further, you see how they go outside before eventually the whole light vanishes when the slit is completely closed. When I open it again, you see the opposite effect. The slit gets wider, and the diffraction patterns get smaller and smaller until they are not visible at all anymore. So you see here no further structure. However, if you look closely, you see right now here some interesting structure, right? There's a star with 6 rays. So where does that come from? It only is there when we look with this camera, but the other camera doesn't show it. So it must have to do something with the camera. And indeed, it is probably caused by the internal aperture structure in that camera. So if you had looked even closer, you would have seen also a little dot-like pattern. And I think that might come from the CCD structure and diffraction effects of reflections that have to do with it. But I'm not really sure what is causing this dot-like diffraction pattern in this camera.